And welcome to Nicole's Moment of Inspiration, where I use one moment in time or a few moments in time to inspire you. So the other day we were talking about, or I was talking about relationships and how it's important to do the work with a relationship that you value. And I want to expound on that a little more because I touched on love languages, and I want to share how much love languages are so important. So we were talking about relationships and having to do the work. And it takes work to make any relationship work. Now, let me just stick a pin in there, a little caveat. All relationships are valuable to God, right? However, and all people, I should say, are valuable to God. That's what I want to say. However, He does not require all people to be in relationship with each other. Ain't that something? Yeah, that might be a news flash for some, but maybe not for others. God does not require that we are in relationship with everyone. That includes even people who we grew up with and family and various people. That's something to take in, because then we can mature a little bit better, because He requires or even has a different purpose for each person in our lives at different times and seasons. Okay, now it's a different situation when He joins two people together, whether they be friends or whether it be husband and wife, and He knows or believes or sees that they can grow together through the vicissitudes and the changes of life, that they can make this thing work if they allow themselves to and if they work at it. But even in those kinds of relationships, I believe if God sets it up and He puts it together, and I know the jury is out for some people, but that's my belief, that if that He sets it up and puts it together, that He is going to extend the grace for them to work through it. Now, if He has not done it and we done did it on our own, whether that means a husband and wife relationship or even friendships, and He like, I'm trying to tell you that's not your purpose and that's not your assignment, and we hang in there and we do all that stuff, then we're in for a rude awakening, and it can be somewhat can be devastating, challenging, and comes with more unnecessary hardships than needed. And I remember when, I'm getting hot like I told you, I remember when in many, let's say male-female, relationships, where I hung in there and stayed with it, and he was like, I'm trying to get you up out of this, or trying to tell you this is not what my intention was for you. Y'all were good friends, but y'all weren't supposed to be nothing else, okay? All right. So anyway, that's aside, and that's for later conversation, which I will probably share one of these days. But as far as love languages are concerned, oftentimes we are trying to make someone become what we want them to become, rather than figure them out or learn them in order to love them the way they need to be loved. Most of the times we probably don't even have to figure it out, because they're showing you what they need. They're showing you who they are. And all we need to do is go with the flow and make the adjustments. But when we're uncomfortable, sometimes with ourselves, and uncomfortable with who they are in our lives, or we want them to be, we're trying to force them to become something, that's what makes it so difficult and even harder. So with love languages, as I mentioned before, there are 5 of them, according to Dr. Gary Chapman. Now, there could be an extensive, that may not be an exhaustible list, and probably not, because there's so many other ways to show love through our languages and our behaviors, but he came up with 5, and that is quality time, words of affirmation, acts of service, gift giving, and physical touch. As you've heard me say time and time again, my love language is quality time, and that is the primary love language of mine, right? Now, to keep that in balance, I don't need to spend, days in and days out, weeks at a time for it to be considered love. It has to be, whatever the amount of time that I spend with you is quality. And it also says, Nicole loves you enough to spend to give you this kind of time. If I'm not doing that, or if that's not the kind of relationship I have, then That don't mean I don't love you, but I gotta feel that level of connection in order to want to do that with you. Okay, so not only is it speaking love to me when you can spend time with me, I speak that back to someone else in when I'm in relationship with them, that I'm willing to spend quality time. And it doesn't have to be, like I said, day in and day out. It can be once a month, once a year, twice a year, whatever. Now, if I'm in a relationship with you, meaning, kind of dating relationship, then once a month ain't going to do it, okay? But even where that is concerned, there's a balance to it as well, in that, talking to you on the phone or going with you for a ride somewhere, you need to go someplace and I'm going to just spend the time with you, I'll do that. Or, going to the movies or sitting, going to a cafe and you need to do something with work or whatever, and I'm just reading, but I'm enjoying, just being in your presence, as I'd like to think that you're enjoying being in mine. So that is my love language. And then, as I said, physical touch is another one, but again, it depends. I'm not touching everybody, but it's how I express love. However, if a person has a particular love language and they're not getting that from someone else who has a different love language, then the relationship is going to starve, the person is going to die, and the relationship will eventually die. For an example, if a person, and this is not a love language per se, but let's say a person needs blood and I'm giving them oxygen, what's going to happen to that person? They're going to eventually die. If I'm pumping them with oxygen instead of blood, they're going to die because I'm not giving them what they need to survive. That's the same kind of concept with love language. If we've not figured out what they need, then they will eventually die, and so will the relationship, because they're being starved or they're being deprived of the thing that they need. So I hope that helps, right? If someone loves a specific kind of thing, let's say they like wingtip shoes, and I'm giving them square, and maybe call it a man. I don't want to say, but anything, if they like wingtip shoes and I'm giving them square-toed shoes. I know what you love, and I'm still giving you what I think you should get or what I like to give you. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. So eventually they're going to get frustrated and want to bail out or what have you, or just, give up on the relationship. So that is just a perspective, and not even a perspective, but the concept of what love languages are, even with this husband and wives, friend to friend, sister, brother, siblings, parent relationship, parent-child relationship. It would be nice. I pause because it would be nice, but not necessarily everyone is not necessarily ready, healthy, mature, responsible enough to offer those things to other people. Therefore, sometimes relationships do suffer or get cut off prematurely, simply because people are at a deficit in their ability to give that kind of emotional love and attention, sadly, and have not done the work. And I don't mean just doing the work with each other, but doing the work on themselves in order to get to that place of health and wholeness, to be able to offer that kind of healthy relating with another human being. It's an unfortunate reality, but I have to see that it is a reality, because sometimes doing that kind of work will require not just a whole lot of introspection, but maybe even going to a counselor to see where we've become stuck or arrested in our development, or challenged or scared or uncomfortable. But most people, because of their level of discomfort or uncomfortability, will not take that next step. And it's hard for even someone who really wants to. Trust me, and I done been to counseling, and even prior to entering into a loving and intimate and caring, and I'm saying what I want, emotionally healthy relationship, I'd like to do much more work on myself in order to give that somewhat of a gift. But then I'm like, Lord, it's not guaranteed that he'll be doing that on his own, but hopefully he will. We'll see. But anyhow, Yeah, it requires a lot of work, a lot of deep work. And God would love for us to do that, not just with Him, but with those whom He provides. And though you might have some friends that are very intellectual and smart and can, maybe, and even could be possible counselors, but they may not be the right counselor for you because the relationship is too close. They can be that initial springboard or that sounding board for you, but it would really behoove us to go and seek out some sort of professional counseling or coaching. I would suggest counseling first before coaching, because coaching kind of moves you along from the point of having healed. Counseling kind of goes back to and digs up and deals with some of the emotional challenges and baggages that keeps us from moving forward in healthy relationships. So, it does more therapeutic work, I would say, than really what coaching does. Coaching kind of helps you to move forward into that next place, after some of that work, that groundwork has been done. So that's pretty much what I want to say in terms of, continuing to do the work and love languages. If we weren't so selfish, and we often are so selfish that we want to control how someone is to be for us rather than allow them to be who they're supposed to be, who God has sent them to be, we get so fearful. Maybe, I know control is a hard word, but out of our fear, we tend to control. And we want it to be this way, and we're trying to, make it so, or we're answering in ways that is not helpful, or responding in ways that are not helpful, or avoiding things because we don't want to, approach the hard parts. But if even just for a little bit, the love languages will help in your relationships that you have now. But really take time to assess and pray, be very prayerful about what God is saying, that this is about, and who this person is supposed to mean in your life, or what role they're supposed to play, because everybody is not supposed to play the same role in the same position. And it would be to our benefit if we understood that, without making it so complicated, it's just a part of being, a part of becoming, and even when seasons change and shift, learning how to do that, even in a long-lasting, established relationship of a marriage of sorts, seasons will change and things will shift, and persons will, as I mentioned before, evolve. So we have to learn how to even evolve in that relationship to keep going together. The Word of God says in Amos 3:3 says, how can two walk together, or can two walk together, unless they be agreed? And that's in agreement, and the power of agreement as changes happen, as they mature, as they have different likes and dislikes and desires, and learning more of who they are. Can we still walk together? Only if we can agree.
Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I hope this was a blessing to you. Leave a comment and let me know. Just so you know, I'll be uploading videos every week, so go ahead, subscribe, like, and share so you don't miss Nicole's Moment of Inspiration. Until next time, bye for now.